I started collecting relatively early, but later in life, if that makes any sense. I knew I loved watches from the minute I had my first watch, but I didn't have the means to buy them. I'm David Piccolo. I'm the creative director at the PGA Tour. I'm a dad, love sports, and I'm a watch collector. My first watch was a Pulsar moon phase. My mom took me into a local department store for my birthday, and I just wanted a watch. When I look at it and see that it has these cool wire lugs and these really thin hands, now I realize like I had a style, I had a perspective back then. It means a lot that I was with my mom and she bought it for me, and I knew at the time she didn't necessarily have the means either, but she still did that for me, and it meant an awful lot. It still does. My mom's the strongest, most loving woman I think I've ever met. She did not have a lot, had me when she was 18 years old, and she did a lot of it on her own. You know, my dad didn't stick around, he didn't help out. Yeah, so I have two daughters, and you know, even if they don't care about horology, there's something special about leaving them something that Dad wore. I hope that as they get older, they have an appreciation for some of this stuff just because it was mine, not because it means anything other than that was Dad's watch. I was raised in a very small town in Connecticut. I would say lower middle class town, where people worked really hard for what they had. And they're sort of, you know, the most genuine sort of salt of the earth, you know, people. I think the work ethic from where I come from has stayed with me. It's just in my blood, you know, to work hard, not to gain things, but to achieve things. So the watches for me are, they have nothing to do with value. You know, unfortunately, some things in this world are just expensive. It doesn't mean they're more meaningful than the next. So I eventually got my degree in graphic design, and that ultimately got me my first job at ESPN. I got to be creative, working for sports. It was a dream come true. While at ESPN, I was able to get my master's degree. The degree was in information design. Everybody thought, you know, what does this mean, you know? And really what it was it was a program dedicated to taking a lot of information and breaking it down into digestible bits and creating hierarchy so the consumer can understand it. And I think that drew me to the Navitimer. But I remember seeing the Navitimer, and I was just floored by the amount of information that was so meticulously designed in this small space. It's incredibly busy. And I think most people look at it and say, oh, that's too busy. That's the beauty in it. That's why the Navitimer is so unbelievable. So yeah, that became sort of like my North Star for a really long time. And it took me a long time to get there. I set a goal that for my 40th birthday, I want to buy the Navitimer. I was sweating. It was a big purchase. And I remember thinking, I had such mixed emotions. I was so excited. I couldn't believe I was gonna do this. But I had that moment of like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. My grandfather had this travel clock on his coffee table, and we would sit and watch football together. And I think that's maybe where it started for me. I would wind it and the alarm would go off, and you know, my grandfather's passed on and I have it now. It's just one of my prized possessions, and it reminds me of him, and you know, it even still smells like him, still smells like his cigars. Yeah, after my grandfather passed away, my mom, you know, found a box of some of his and my grandmother's, you know, watches. So when the box showed up with their watches, and I was going through them, it surprised me that there was this unique sort of style. He had this taste. So he had an homage watch for the Cartier Ballon Bleu. And I started to think about them, and it made me realize that they liked the design of these luxury watch brands, but they didn't want to spend the money they had there. And more accurately, probably couldn't. I had this moment of sort of, you know, pride for them and how hard they worked. And it made me feel a little sad too, because I felt like if I knew that, I would have loved to have bought my grandfather the real Ballon Bleu while he was still here. So maybe one day I'll buy one and wear it with pride and think of my grandfather. And yeah, those are the stories that like get me excited about this hobby.